Fine. Good morning, all. So in this particular session, we'll look about RDBMS concept. We'll try to understand what exactly is RDBMS. See, this session we're going to learn with Microsoft SQL Server. So Microsoft SQL Server is an RDBMS software. So where RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. So it's a system which is used for managing the data. When the data is very large, how can you manage this particular large amount of data? So that is what is RDBMS says. So we'll look into this particular thing. So in this particular session, so we'll look into this particular concept. We'll try to understand the importance of the data. Why we have to go with the data. So data is important almost in every field, almost in every sector. Data is very important. We'll define what exactly is the DBMS system. There was an evolution which took place for the RDBMS. So we'll look into that evolutions and we'll look into the RDBMS into details. Okay. So and we'll also see about the different types of objects what is there in the RDBMS. Okay. And we can see about see when you look into this particular role of data. So the data is important almost in every sector. Okay. So I mean to say is you want to plan something. So if you have the previous data, it becomes very easy to do the planning. Like example, you want to invest in the stock market. So what we do, we try to find out last 4 years, 5 years data, and then we'll see like how every month on or quarterly wise how it is going, and then we'll take a call like whether it's a time to invest or to withdraw. Fine. So you want to have a team India playing against Australia, England is going to play now. Okay, so you want to plan out for a team. So we look for the performance of the team player, last 6 months, how were their performance. Okay, so with what kind of bowlers are there, with those kind of bowlers like, so which batsmen are suitable for it. So the players which is in form in last 6 months. Okay, if they have maintained this particular data, if they have maintained the individual players information with the strike rate and then the performance, match-wise performance and all this thing. So then they can find out, which players are in form, they are not in forms. Okay, which player to fit in what particular position. The selection committee, if it has to make a proper team, so they take the historical data of all the players, all the matches, they capture all the information, and based on that only they plan. Okay, even do a selection of a team. You want to monitor something. If I don't have any information about that, you cannot monitor. So even I am to explain something, I need to have the information filled. Only then I can explain it. So that means data is important almost in every sector. You want to plan, you want to analyze, you want to explain, you want to identify something, you want to take some kind of a decisions, you want to monitor some things, so you want to implement some things. So in every sector, the data is important. Fine. Okay. What is RDBMS or what is database management system? So it is nothing but a simple record keeping system which involves the storing of the data, updating of the data, retrieving of the data, and deleting the data. So that means if I have maintained a huge data, any software, okay, or thing which allows me to do this operation. Okay, so we have some data. I want to get the information based on my requirement. Okay, so I should be very easily able to fetch the data. I should be very easily able to store the data. It should be very easy to modify the data, or like some records, it's no more needed. Okay, as say a student has completed the course, I want to delete that particular record. Okay, I should be able to easily fetch that particular record and delete only that particular record. Any software which gives this particular features in a better way, we call it as a better database system. Okay, what I mean to say is, when I say storing this, updating that, inserting and all those things, we can do even in Excel. Excel by default has a worksheet in the form of a Tableau format. We have the features like filtering and all those things, where I can filter and get only the information what is needed can be done. And at the same time, so we have all this particular feature. Okay, but I say like, there are many softwares in the industry. So, but any software which gives this features in a better way, we call it as a better database. Okay, so in that case, you can say Excel can also be called as a database, but Excel is not called as an RDBMS. Okay, So we'll just look into why exactly we have to go for an RDBMS. Okay. Fine. So I said, like, any software gives me this particular provision in a better way. We call it as a better database system. See, people started maintaining the data, managing the data from the time people started doing the business. Okay, from the time people started maintaining records or maintaining the data. It's like, people started doing the business even before the currency came. There was a barter system, yes, exchange of goods and all those things. So people were maintaining, like, how much goods I have given in returns, what I have received, and all these things. When the currency came, okay, I've given this much of product, okay, this is the amount what I'm supposed to receive, this is the price I have received, this is the balance amount what I have to receive. They used to maintain. Okay, forget about there was no computers and all these things, but still, they used to maintain and manage. That time, the data was small. Okay, the people who were working with this very limited amount of data because there was no transportation and all those things. So the network was very small. So all the business was happening within a limited space. And okay, so amount of data also was very limited. As the days went on, we had a better transportation system. The better, now we can see the internet system. We can send the money from here, it goes to US, and all these things happens online, okay, in no time and all these things. So that means all the organizations, they have multiple sectors, many branches and all these things. So every organization, the data is growing in a tremendous way. So when the data is becoming complex, so that traditional system was not capable of handling that particular. That means we cannot remember, like, have thousands of clients for whom I have supplied the products and I have to receive, from whom how much I have to receive. So keeping a track of that in the mind was very difficult. So people maintain some kind of books. Again, with the help of the books, fetching that information and all becomes little tedious. So there was an evolution what it took place. Okay. So it was something like they came out with some kind of a flat file system. They came out with hierarchical systems. Then they came out with a kind of a network systems and all those things. So all the systems were there. Okay, but later, somewhere in mid 60s, okay, so I can just say, so somewhere in, I can just say mid 60s, 1965. Okay, so Dr. E.F. Quad, what he did is, he saw the way people were storing and managing the data. So when I say 65, it's something like, 56 years from now. Okay, so that time there was no PCs and all these things, only mainframe computers were there. So that means the banking, the warehouses, okay, all the transactions, okay, all this particular system, we are maintaining the manual record itself. He observed the way people were storing and managing the data and all this thing. He was more into research. He was a mathematician. Okay, so it was Dr. E.F. Quad. Okay, now Edgar F. Quad. So we had this particular person like Dr. E.F. Quad. So what he did is he saw the way people were storing, managing the data and all this thing. And he felt like, since he was a mathematician, he was well versed with set theory, algebraic concepts and all the thing. So he observed and he was not satisfied with the way people were managing the data. And he cannot just like that say, okay, hey, you guys, the way you're managing is not correct. So you need to have a better solution for that. So what he did is he worked out, okay, using his mathematical principle, almost they say 5 long years. That means in 1969, or I can say 1970, okay, in the year 1970, he came out with 12 rules of how to manage the data in a better way. So that is in 1970, he came out with, he worked out, he saw the way people were storing, the people were managing the data, even though it was a paperwork, he observed that particular thing and he worked out a plan and he came out with 12 rules, okay, of how you can manage the data in a better way. Okay, that was in 1970. Again, when I talk about 1970s, there were, okay, like, it was mainframe computers and all this thing. So very few people were using computers. So maximum it was a paperwork itself. So then he came out with the rules, then he told people to follow. So not everybody followed his particular thing. So later, like, there are few people, they said, okay, fine. Why don't we give a try? Okay, why don't we follow his rules and observe it? And some people who followed according to his rules, they found, okay, it was really worth, okay, it was very useful. With the help of this particular rules, lot of inconsistencies was being taken care, okay, lot of errors were being taken care. So with the help of it, okay, it was a manual system itself. His rules also was not with respect to the computer. He did not come up with any software or technology or anything. It was the paper rules. He just defined the rules, and there were some people who followed it, and they found it very useful. And then, the kind of word of mouth was spreading. And over a period of time, I think 4 5 years, so mid 70s, so this would be becoming very popular. Okay, and there are many the companies they want to. It's like ISO standardization. Okay, so any company which follows ISO standardization, so there everything has been managed more very smoothly. Okay, the same way, like they felt like when you follow this particular rules, the things were following very smoothly. Okay, and there are many organizations, many this one they wanted to follow his rules. Then later, IT guys, what they do is something which is becoming popular. They try to add a technology. They try to create a software which follows the rules. So there were somewhere in the mid 70s, they came out with the software which follows the rules of God. So that softwares are called as RDBMS. This is called as Relational Database Management System. So it's nothing but a system which is following the rules of Dr. E.F. Quad. Okay, so that is called as a relational model, because according to the Quad's rule, so all the data has to be not in a single table; it is in multiple related tables. The data will be stored, and so because more importance was being given, like when not whole data should not be stored in a single table. We need to identify the groups, make it as a separate table, and then define the relationship between that particular groups. Okay, create a link between that groups. That was more of this one. So because of that, it was called as RDBMS, Relational Database Model. So now, and I say 1970, this rule was being defined. Now it is almost 2021. So that means 51 years, more than 5 decades. And in IT technology, what happens if any rules or any software comes? So within the span of 6 months' time, there'll be a competitor who says, "I have a software which is better than that." Now you can see almost 15 years, not even a single person has come out and told, even there is one rule has to be modified, altered, or not. Okay, so you can just think like how powerful his rules are. Okay, so that is your RDBMS. Okay. Now, that is what. Yeah. So we'll try to understand what are the drawbacks of the traditional system. We'll take an example of a flat file system. We'll try to compare that with RDBMS, and we'll see how RDBMS is better than the flat file system. See, flat file database is relatively a simple database system in which each database is spread. Database is contained in a single table. That means what is happening in the case of a flat file system, the whole data is stored in a single table. One single table, like I have the information about the student, I have the information about the fees. Every month he pays the fees, I have the information. Every day he attends the class, that also I maintain, but everything in a single table, in a single file. That is what is your traditional system, that is the flat file system. In contrast to this, we have is your relational database system that stores the information. Okay, relational database system can use multiple tables. You can see here, in case of the relational database system, okay, can store multiple tables to store the information, and each table can have a different record format. Flat file system is more like your Excel, where the whole data is in a single sheet. So a huge number of columns and all the groups and all this thing. And relational is we identify the groups, make it as separate tables, and then we store the data separately. Okay. Okay. So when you look into this, RDBMS is a type of a database system that stores the data in the form of a related table. So that means when you talk about this RDBMS, is a type of a database system where the data is stored in the form of related tables. Okay, relation databases are powerful because they require few assumptions about how data is related or how to be extracted from the database. Okay, so it just needs some kind of assumptions how the data is being related and how to be stored and how to be extracted. As a result, the same data can be viewed in many different ways. Okay, so mean to say is like I have the information about the student. I, as a faculty, I want to see the information about the student is how regular they are. So what is the test assignment marks they are scoring and things. Now the same student information, if the academic head wants to see the information, they look into what are the modules they have completed, what is the modules are left over. Okay, they look into those point of views. When the same information about the students, when the accounts people wants to see it, they look into like, when was the last installment paid, how much is the balance fee, when is the next installment they have to pay. Okay, so that means the same information, the different people see it in a different way. So when it comes to a librarian, they see like, how many books they have taken, okay, when they are supposed to return the book, whether they have written the book or not. Okay, the different people want to see the information in a different way. Okay, so that is what is they're trying to say. RDBMS is the powerful because they record a few assumptions, but how the data is related or how to be extracted from the database. How it has been related and stored. So we need to have a clear idea on that and how it can be extracted. As a result, the same database can be viewed in many different ways. As I said, different people wants to see the information about the student in a different way. Okay, the same thing happens in the case of employees also. The HR department wants to see it in a different way. The manager of that particular department wants to see the employees in a different way. The directors wants to see the different. The sales executive, sales head, he wants to see the employees in the different ways. Okay. An important feature of RDBMS is that a single database can be spread across multiple tables. Okay. An important feature of RDBMS is that a single database can be spread across several tables. So in the case of a traditional system, the whole data was in a single table, but here, okay, it is not in a single table. We identify the groups, make it as separate tables, and then we store it. Okay, in which each database is self-contained in a single table. Fine. Clear? Now we'll just see an example of this particular understanding this particular flat file system and the traditional system. Okay, how we can manage this and how it is being done. So we'll try with this particular example here. So this particular slide tells you about the flat file system and the relational database management system. Let us take a simple example here. This is about the student taking the books from the library. So now what about the student does? They have joined for an institution. Okay, so what they do is they keep visiting the library again and again. Okay, any number of times they can visit. Every time they visit the library, they might take whichever the book is needed for them. Okay, now see what happens when a student is he is a student. Okay, so they keep visiting the libraries. Any number of times they can visit. There are some people who visit at least once in a semester to get the note clearance. There are some students who visit every week, every fortnight, twice in a week. There are people who will go daily also. So on an average, generally we take it like, if you take it once in fortnight also, once in 15 days also, if you have joined for a college for 4 years, okay, in the year at least around 20 times, so 4 years is 70, 80 times, and an average general I'm taking about. So every time you visit the library, your personal details is going to be the same. Okay, your roll number, your name, your address, okay, all these things is generally the same. Okay, your address might change, but it's very rare, but it's the same. But the same information is being repeated, is it? So now I'm just taking this particular example here. I've just taken a small chunk of this particular data. So where I have this particular roll number, okay, says 12. So we have a student says Alicia Road, stays in this address, taken this book. See, when the librarian is issuing the book to the student, so it becomes a responsibility of the library, whenever the management says, I want this particular book, they should have the information to whom they have given this particular book. When the student has not returned the book, even after the due date, they should be able to contact the students and get that particular books. Okay, so they need to collect not only the personal details of the students, the contact details and things, as well as they need to keep a track of which book they have taken, issue date, due date, and all these things has to be taken. So we have just taken, as I said, small chunk of that. So we have just taken the roll number, name, and address. So nowadays, we need a mobile number is common, okay, and all these things. So we can take it. Then book book taken will be there, issue date, their due date will be there, and all this thing. Okay, so we've just taken it. Now, when you look into this, we have this roll number 12. So Alicia Root stays in 12 Temple Street, taken a book. Again, when you see this roll number 12 says Alicia Root stays in the same address. Okay, taken another book here, says AC043. Again, you can see the same student. Okay, roll number 12 says Alicia Root, taken this book here. Fine. Now, first time when we ask the student, yeah, the roll number is 12 is Alicia Root. Second time when I ask, it is Alicia Root. The third time when I am asking, she says Alicia R. The librarian has written as Alicia R. Now, what happens is the students are right from their side. Okay, Alicia Ruth and R is same. We as a human being, we understand both are same. But when this particular data is there in the database, when I'm trying to fetch the information, like, what are the books taken by Alicia Ruth, I will get only two, I will not get the third one. Because for the computer, Alicia R and Alicia Ruth are two different entities, two different persons. So I'll not be able to get the correct report. See, the purpose of storing the data, why we are storing the data in the database, the purpose of storing the data is to ensure that their results are accurate. Okay, when I generate the reports, so the report should be reliable, the report should be accurate. Okay, okay, report should be correct. That is the main purpose of doing all this particular, going for a computerization, going for automation, going for reporting and all this thing. Reports should be work. Okay. But here what happens, we have done a lot of hard work, we have stored the information, everything, but you can see I'm getting two different, that is, I'm getting a different results. Okay, so that means in the computer, if I say Alicia space Ruth, Alicia without space Ruth, Alicia dot Ruth, all this becomes so different. Okay, now what are the books Alicia Ruth has taken, only exactly matching to what the name you have given, in what format you have given, we'll get only that values. So dot, space, without space, R, this and all will be considered as a different. So what happens? At the end of the day, your reports are not accurate. This was the problem which was observed by Dr. E.F. Pad. Okay, we'll take us another scenario here. We have this particular roll number 15, says Mary Birth, stays in 12 Golden Avenue, taken this book. Fine. When you look at this, again, the same students, we have a Mary Birth, stays in 32-3 Golden Avenue, taken up. So now here when you see, the address is 32 Golden Avenue, here the address is 33 Golden Avenue. See, there are two possibilities. One can be a typo error. So 32 has become as 23, it can become, or 33 it has become, it can be a typo error. Or might be a student has really shifted to the next one. Both possibilities are there. Just imagine tomorrow a student has not returned the book. I need to call the student, or I need to, okay, so here we have the address. I want to drop a letter to them telling that, your due date has been crossed. We need this particular book. Okay, so when I drop a letter to this, I get two addresses for which I need to drop. So that means when I have to write two letters, which she's receiving as well as the neighbor next door is also receiving the same letter. Okay, just imagine this is small data. This is small data. In the real time, when the data is large, so this mistakes is a common thing. So it might be a student has shifted, like PG people, they keep shifting it. Okay, so in that case, what happens? They have multiple addresses. But when I search for an address for the student, I'll get all the historical addresses. So I'll not be clear this one, like to which address should I have to communicate. Okay, so this is again one more problem which is faced with the traditional system. That is in the case of a flat file system. We are not getting the accuracy of the results. We're not, when we are trying to fetch the information also, you're not getting the exact right information. Okay, so now Dr. Pad said, I need to get involved in that and I need to fix this particular problem. So how can we fix this particular problem? Was the question. So this problem was fixed again by using the Scott's rule. Okay, that is again implying this some of the rules what he defined. Okay. So now here, according to the court's rule, he says, this is a traditional system, is it? We'll take the same system, but I ensure that the problems are being fixed. That was the thing you're supposed to handle. Now, according to the court's rule, he observes here the two groups of data. One is the student personal details. Another group is the books taken, who's taking this book. There are two groups of information. The books taken will have issue date, due date, and all these things, fine, and all these things. So two groups of data is there in the single table. Segregate this, separate this group of data. So now this is student details. So I'll make this separate table here, and the book issue table, I'll make it separately. Okay, so this particular data, so we are just taking this particular data here, made as a separate table here. Okay, so now in a table, okay, and you can see now this table is having only the information about the student. I can give a good name for this particular table. So I can just say this is your table student. The student table, that means student personal details or student contact details. You can just say student master table. Right? Have only the information about the student. Now in a table, we have something called as the horizontal sections, and do also have the vertical sections. The vertical sections, okay, we call it as fields, no? Yeah, fields. Fields. In technical terms, we call it as attributes in the RDBMS terms. In general term, we call it as columns. Okay, in technical, we can either say fields or we can call it as attributes of the table. And the horizontal section, okay, every horizontal section gives the information about this entity. Okay, in RDBMS, again, the whole table is called as entity, no? Yes. So the whole table, we call it as entity. And every horizontal section, what you see in this particular table is called as record. In general, we call it as rows. No? The rows are called as records. Record. Okay, every horizontal table. Entity refers to the table. The whole table is called as entities. Okay, fine. The next thing here is now, according to the court's rule, okay, the data has to be, okay, no two groups of information has to be in a single table. Identify the groups, make it a separate table. That is according to the first thing of your court's rule. So that is why it is called as RDBMS. I said, relational database. So make each group in the separate tables and try to build a relationship. Instead of merging and storing in a single table, we store it separately and make a relationships. Fine. So now, to define the relationship, we need to apply some kind of rules, some kind of a constraints. So here we have a constraints called as, what is the PK, primary key. Yes. Okay. So what is the primary key? Is one of the field in a table. The primary key is a field in a table or an attribute in a table, which is used to identify a record uniquely. Okay. Primary key is used to identify a record uniquely in a table. We call it the primary key. When you identify which is suitable for that. So on what basis we say it's a suitable? So primary key field should not contain duplicate values and it cannot contain null values. That means when I say for student details here, if I say a roll number is suitable for it, so ensure that roll number should not be duplicated nor it can be left blank. Okay. It cannot contain null values. It cannot be duplicates also. See, when I talk about a name, okay, every person will have a name, fine. But a name can be repeated. There might be another Alicia. Okay, so we cannot identify it uniquely. So what we do, the roll number is generally given by the organization. They'll ensure that they give a unique values, and they first give the roll number, then they store the other details for that. So on that basis, we identify as a key field. And that means the whole information about the student will be identified. Like when you're paying the fees, we identify the student based on the roll number. Every result is generated. Everything. That is a key. This one. Okay, fine. Clear? This is okay. Now, this was the one information, that is, we have taken this particular student details, we have made this as a separate tables, and other non-key field should be dependent on the key field. right? Roll number is dependent on the roll number. Sorry, name is dependent on the roll number. Address is also dependent on the roll number. So non-key field will be dependent on the key field. Okay, so primary. The key field is your primary key. This is suitable for the primary key. It will not have a duplicate values. That cannot contain null values for us. Okay. Now the next thing is what? What is the next left out here? We have a book taken. Okay, that will have the elaborated information like issue date, due date, and all these things. So we'll take this. Now, who is taking the book? Student is taking the book. Before, what was happening? Whenever the book was issued, we used to enter all his personal details and then issue the book. Okay, whenever the book has to be issued, we'll ask what is your number, what is your name, what is the address, what is the contact number, okay, which class, which section, all this information we take and then we issue the book. Now what we do is, okay, all that information is there in the student master table. Okay, we just say, just give me your roll number, that's it. We'll take the roll number and then, okay, I will issue the book to you. Now what we do is we need to check that, okay. So we take this particular roll number and then we issue the book. Now, instead of maintaining this complete information about the student, we just enter the roll number is associated to that. Okay, so you're making this as another table. So now what I will do is, so I'll just take this roll number and I'll just create a link here. Because whenever I issue the book, I need to know only I issue for the existing student. Okay, so now we create this and we'll make this as a foreign key. Okay, I'll just say foreign key. So as the name says foreign is like external, and okay, it's a column which is referring to another column. It can be in the same table or it can be in a different table. Generally, it is a different table, but it can be also in the same table also. Yeah, this roll number cannot be repeated. This can be repeated. This is not a primary key. So here we'll have a primary key is like issue code. Okay, we have a transaction ID or issue code or something. That would be a primary key here. Okay. Primary key is like a field which is used to identify a record uniquely. See, we have a student, roll number is the primary key. For the employee ID is a primary key. So that means that particular field should not be duplicated and cannot be left blank. Okay, so it is an identifier for that particular entity. Okay, now what is happening in the book issue also we are referring this roll number. But in the book issue, what happens? So the same student might take the book again and again. Okay, it can be repeated, no problem.
Or it can be
okay. I am issuing the book for my internal staff. Okay, they don't have an ID, but they are requesting I'm giving on this one. So where I'll not enter they don't have a roll number, I just do a transaction. Fine, it can contain null values. Okay, so but again, my system, if I say no for my staff, it should not be given in that way, you will not be able to keep a track. We can define a rule telling that cannot contain null values. That again, we need to apply an additional constraint. The foreign key can be duplicated, can contain null value, but when I null is empty data.
Empty, then there won't be a foreign key. If it repeats, it has to be.
So what happens is when I say a foreign key, what exactly foreign key is going to do is, it is called as referential integrity. It is going to refer. So from where you are linking. So foreign key is created by link. Okay. Whatever the roll number is here, only that roll number should be allowed here. So we have 12, 14, and 15. 13 is not there. If I give 13 here, it should throw me an error. If I give 13, it should throw me an error because 13 is not there. It has to tell like again. So the student does not exist. First, enroll his and do an enrollment, then do a transaction. 16 is not there. Okay, it should not allow you to do the transaction. So the purpose of the foreign key is a referential integrity. That means whatever the data you are entering, it is going to check them. So only if it is allowed, it is going to be. So duplicate null, that is secondary. That is an additional constraint. If you want, you can apply. If you want, you can apply a foreign key also. You can apply should not contain duplicate values. It should not contain null values. You can apply the constraint. That is secondary. That is not nowhere related to the foreign key. Okay. Like example, a student can visit the say course material. So one student will get only one copy of the course material. So that course material code may, okay, so they should not be duplicated. Or a student, they get say bag. Okay, one student, one bag. Okay, where in the bag issue table, they take the roll number and they issue. So one student should, roll number should not be repeated in the bag issues. So only one they'll issue. But when it comes to the library, okay, they should take the book, they return the book, again they take the books, they can take multiple. So there I say will not define as a primary key for the foreign key field. Fine. So that is what exactly is happening in the case of
the primary key tables,
yeah,
not the original
primary key column.
column.
Okay. So here there is one more thing here called as master table and transaction table. So we have this particular concept called as a master table, and also we call this as a transaction table. See, when I talk about a master table is nothing but a table where the information doesn't keep changing frequently. And a transaction table is nothing but a table where the information keeps changing very frequently. Like in the case of student table, once the student has joined, he is the member for 3 years, 4 years time, till he completes the course, he is there. Okay. Whereas in the transaction table book issues, during that particular 4 years period, so he can visit the library for any number of times and he can do any number of transactions there. The same student who's been enrolled once, where he is given his personal details, contact details, and all these things only one time, but he will have the transaction tables details for multiple times. So yes, foreign transaction table, the same column will be as a foreign. Okay, so when you do the transaction, we refer to that and then do the transaction. So that means librarian should not issue the book for the student who has not joined. The exam coordinator should not conduct the exam for the student who has joined, not joined. So take that roll number and then conduct the exam. Take the roll number, then issue the books. So that is it.
If it doesn't reflect the primary key, it won't enter that.
Yeah, if for a foreign key, so the referred column should be a primary key. If this is not primary key, I cannot define a foreign key constraint. Practically, how do you define a primary key foreign key constraint? We'll be learning it later. Here we are just trying to learn about what is RDBMS. Why should we have to go for an RDBMS?
This refers the original table and foreign key refers the primary table. Like
all are original tables only. Okay, the master table. Master table is the table where the transactions are to the minimum. The transactions are not very frequent. And when I say transaction table, is the table where the updates are very frequent. So insert, update, delete, all the operations are very frequent. It's something like in the bank, a customer becomes a member once. So once he becomes a member, he can do any number of times a transaction. Whenever he does a transaction, in the customer, okay, once he becomes a customer, a code is been issued for him, the customer account number. So that becomes a primary key. In the transaction, we refer the primary, that is account number, and then do the transaction. He is depositing the money, he is withdrawing the money, or he is carrying the ATM and doing with this one, he is doing a shopping in any shopping mall or any this one. With the account number, transactions are happening. Okay, so with the same account number, he might have done hundreds of thousands of transactions. Okay, every time that information, the transaction table is just growing like this. Account table is once you become a member, that one record is added. So generally in a day, how many people will become a member? 4 to 5 max. But how many people are doing a transaction? Thousands of transactions. So this is something like this.
So if you do any alteration or any modification in the master table, will it reflect the
okay, so what happens is, see here, what was happening is in the traditional system, we had Alicia root here, then Alicia R. Since we generally have this concept, more the work we do is more errors. So because of redundancy, so we'll have this kind of inconsistencies. We cannot get rid of it. Okay, how carefully you're entering this problem cannot be, we cannot get rid of this one. So this was there. But here you are entering only once. Only once you are entering, we can cross check with the customer telling, is it exactly the name? Yes, fine, done it. Fine. Now, when you look into the second problem here, so we had Mary birthday, says 32 Golden Avenue. Here it is 33 Golden Avenue. Here what is happening? Only once we have written. Okay. Now tomorrow, what is this particular student has changed the address. Okay. They will just come and update to the admin department telling that, okay, now onwards, whatever the transactions you are going to do have been relocated to the new address. please do it in the new this one. So then will come and update it. So one place the updates will happen. But here what happens, you know, the student goes to the librarian. This is when you ask the address, they'll give the latest address. They go to the academics department. They'll when they ask the address, they'll give the new address. The placement division, they'll give the new address. So everywhere, what happens, the information keeps changing. And when you do any changes, you need to go and update to all the departments. Okay, but here what happens is only one time you are updating, and this roll number is referred, how it has been referred to the librarian. The same way this roll number is referred to the accounts department, to the academics department, to the placements department, logistics department, accounts department, every department, the same roll number is being referred. So your personal information is not repeated with every department. So every department needs your information, but they take only the roll number and they do the transactions. So only when you have defaulted or when they need to really communicate with you, then they just link to the roll number, they try to get your name and address, and then they try to communicate. Okay, so this is what exactly happens in the RDBMS system. So we'll just see the advantage of using the RDBMS, the benefits of using the RDBMS. The amount of redundancy in the stored data can be reduced. Fine. The benefit of RDBMS is the amount of redundancy in the stored data can be reduced. What does this mean? Means what is happening every time a student is doing a transaction, you are repeating his personal details and then doing the transaction. So, and this is happening with every department. Every department, they are taking the complete personal details of the students and then they are doing the transaction. Okay. In every organization, so it might be you go to the bank or any of this one, traditional system talking about, that is what was happening. But in the RDBMS, what happens? That information, okay, is being created as separate entity, made as a separate table, and we have created a key field for that. Okay, so you have to ensure that the whole record is identified with the help of that key, and that key can be just referred. So now here, what is in the new system? What is happening? Whenever a student is doing a transaction, we just take the roll number. We just repeat is the roll number. We just repeat is the roll number and then do the transaction. The previous case, what happens? With the roll number, we used to repeat the name, address, and all those things and do the transaction. Here, we're just repeating a small value, that is the roll number, and then doing the transaction. Okay, so that means this is the first advantage, amount of redundancy in the store. See, when you remove the redundancy, all those kind of errors, Alicia Root, Alicia R, 32 Golden Avenue, 33 Golden Avenue, this has been taken care of. Okay, you'll not have this kind of inconsistencies. Then, no more inconsistencies since you have removed the redundancy. The stored data can be shared. What is it? When I say the stored data can be shared, means once you have stored the data, the same data can be shared with many departments, many organizations. Okay, so I'm talking about this. The stored data can be shared. So, mean to say is, what happens is in this particular system, we have this particular roll number, name and address and all this personal details of the student. You see, in any organization, student is there and they'll be referred to the every department, logistics, accounts, placements and all those things. So in the previous system, what is happening was every department used to maintain their personal details and the department related information. Okay. Now, what in the new system is this information is maintained separately. Only this roll number is being referred in all the places. Okay. So the same data, what is being stored in one centralized location, that is being shared across each department. Okay. This again reduces your redundancy, inconsistency across the different departments and so on. This will lead to a lot of performance things. So this will be really good performing. See, something like, before what was happening was the data was growing with a lot of redundancy. Okay, the database was growing in size because of your redundant data. So the database which is supposed to grow like this, it is growing in this particular way. Okay, and this data was happening is what? Redundant data. Now when you see, when you are searching something, when your data is small, your search is faster. When your data is big, the same search, it has to search across this whole data, it will take more time. So that is end result is what happens when you talk about a database. Data is there and you're writing the queries to fetch the data. So every query you write, it has to search in a very huge data where you'll get a really performance degradation in that. Okay, but here we are what to say repeating we are not storing the redundant data. So that means your database is not growing unnecessarily. Your database is growing with the productive data. Okay, so when I say the database is not growing with unnecessary, unrelevant data, only with the productive data. So that means the database is not growing in size unnecessarily, it's smaller in size. So you'll have a better performance in the queries. Okay, when you use this particular, the new system, that is when you apply a database with the new standards. Got it? Okay. The data can be, that is where the benefits of this particular RDBMS comes into. Standards can be set and followed. So we can define the standards and we can follow the standards. Like again, I'll tell you the example is in Excel, you open an Excel file, you get a workbook which contains a worksheet, which has by default rows and columns, and you start feeding the data. So any type of values you enter, it accepts. No primary key, no foreign key, no data type check, nothing, everything. You just blindly enter the data and we don't have normalization. We don't identify separate tables or things. We're just storing it. But in the RDBMS, okay, it is not done like that. In the RDBMS, first the tables are created and then the data is being stored in them. First the tables are created and then the data. For creating the tables, so there is something called the database design team comes with the picture. So the design team, what they do is they try to understand the current system, the paperwork or an existing system, how it is happening. Okay, what are the drawbacks are there? So they identify all that, they do a thorough study in that, and then they'll try to come out with what all the entities are needed, what are the tables are needed. Now in each table, which will be suitable for a primary key, which will be suitable for the foreign key, how it has to be related, everything will be defined. They check for the performance, they check for redundancies and all these things. There is some kind of normalization, what happens, first normal form, second normal form, okay, 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, and 4NF, BCNFs. So we have different normalizations happens. Normalization is like, the previous slides, what we saw, the single data. Okay, we have been splitting into multiple tables. We are identifying the groups and splitting the data. Okay, so now again, on what basis you split, there is some kind of a rules. Okay, so which the database design team follows. So that is called as your normalization. So the design team, they normalize it. Okay, that means they do a complete paperwork before creating the tables. The complete paper, they don't directly sit on the machine. Okay, once they get the complete approval from the design head, only then, okay, they convert this into the tables. So when they are converting this to a table, they're creating a new tables, where in the table they say what all the fields are needed, each field, what data type should be there, what constraints should be there, everything is defined. And then later, okay, the data is being added. So I can say one thing is, when you have some rules defined and you're following the rules, the errors will be less. Okay, so in the traditional systems like Excel and all these things, rules were not defined. Directly you see the cells, you start feeding the data. So now what happens, any type of data, any values you enter, the accuracy was not there. But here, so since before itself, we are defining all these particular rules, okay, and then, okay, when you're storing, so if you are violating the rule, the data will not get in itself. Okay, so the errors will be reduced. So that is another biggest advantage of RDBMS. The standards can be set and followed. We create the tables, each fields and all this thing. Okay, practically we'll be seeing this. Okay, let's open this one. Data integrity can be maintained. That is your primary key, the foreign key. Again, Excel has a lot of features, but we cannot define a primary key there. What is that? I think. Next is we have a security of the data can be implemented. So it says like, we can have a better security of the data can be implemented. The next benefit of using the RDBMS. What is the security of the data can be implemented? Security is like permission, whether you should allow the user to manipulate the data or you should not allow the user to do the manipulation.
Hi.
security of the data can be implemented. So it says like, we can have a better security of the data. This is another advantage. So what is this security? I was telling, like, when I talk about security is nothing but allowing the user to work on the data. So we have seen two types of security. One thing is read only or read write. Read only is the user can only write a select statement to view the data. Read write is insert, update, delete, all the operation will be allowed. Okay. Now what I want to do is, see, in this particular system, what is there? I don't want a librarian to change the name of the student. I don't want a librarian to change the address of the student. Okay, librarian should not be able to change the name of the student or the address of the student. I don't want it. Yeah. So, but at the same time, what book is they issuing? A librarian will give whatever the respective book, issue date, due date, that is the librarian related data. So this particular portion, the librarian should have the permission. And I say this particular, the librarian should not have the permission to edit this data. So that means within the single table itself, okay, I want some fields should not be allowed, some should be allowed, which is not possible. Which we can make it as read only or read write. So you can restrict the select permission or you give the select permission. You can restrict the DML operation, insert, update, or delete, or give them. Okay, either of it or any of it. But it says on this particular part of the table, I don't want the librarian to do any changes. But here, okay, the librarian should be able to do the changes as well as retrieve the data. But here the librarian should be only able to see the data, select statement. So which I cannot do in a single table. So now what we do is in the RDBMS, we have split this. Okay, so now RDBMS also supports multi-user. So when I talk about multi-user, what is multi-user? It's not like many hands working on the same mission. Okay, so I have a database installed. Okay, on this particular database, so there'll be many people working. The faculties will be working, the librarian is working, the admin is working, the accountant is working, the placement divisions are working. Everybody are working on the same database. Now, if it is a librarian, we identify what person is logging in. And for the librarian, I say, I need to give the permission, full permission on this table. Select as well as insert, update, delete. But on this particular table, for the librarian, I should give only the select permission. Insert, update, and delete should not be allowed. Okay. So when I say a person logging as an admin to this, should be able to select the data, insert, update, delete, everything should be allowed. I want those particular things. Okay. So now what we do is, since it is a multi-user, okay. So for the individual user, I can give the permission. If it's an admin, I'll give the full permission on this particular table. Okay. Insert, update, delete, and everything. Okay. So admin, okay, say if it is a higher admin, I want him to see this particular data. Admin should not be able to change the roll number or book issue date, book code, and all the thing. If admin is starting changing, like, so he might change the librarian's data, and then librarian will not be taking the responsibility of that, is it? So they should be able to only see the data. But at the same time, if it is a librarian, it should be a reverse effect. So librarian should have full permission on this library related data. So this data, the student has not written the book. When I have to call the student or something, I should be able to just link and get that particular student details. Okay, I can give this particular restriction. So I can give the individual permission on table, whether the user will have only select permission or insert permission or delete permission or update permission can be selectively, we can give the permission. So that can be very easily done with the help of this. Okay, so that is what, that can be done only when the data has been split across multiple tables and it has been stored.
I'm not wrong. There is a BCL statement that is
data control language.
So that is different.
That is different. Data control is like creating the tables. DML is data manipulation, insert, update, delete.
Then we give it to table.
Yes. Here, since the data has been spread across multiple tables, you can have a better security can be implemented. And though, like, the RDBMS supports multi-user, so you can have a better security. So these are like some of the benefits of using the RDBMS. So that means, so main advantages, the amount is redundancy is reduced. Like, the database is growing with the productive data, not with the redundant data. Traditionally, the data was growing in size with the redundant data. So now again, the data is being stored separately. Every individual department is not going to have the personal details of the students. Okay, which is maintained in centralized table and it has been referred. So again, redundancy is removed here also. So when I say like, redundancy is reduced, your database is not growing fast. When the database is small, performance is better. Okay, so you can have better standards can be set, like, you create the tables with the proper data types, the proper constraints. We have many different constraints apart from the primary key, foreign key. We have a check and not null constraint where the data should be allowed, where the data can be optional. So we can say like, not null constraint, check constraints, and all these things can be defined. So when you have defined the tables with all the rules, so whatever the data is going, it is following the particular rules. When they are following the rules, they are not say violating the rules. The data will be more accurate. Your results will be better. Okay, that was the main objective, like, for storing the data. And I go to the computerized system. So what are the reports I get from this particular computers, which should be reliable? Okay, it should be accurate. That is the purpose we go for the computerizations. Fine. Data integrity is maintained like primary key, foreign key. Since the data has been stored into separate tables, we can identify the users. We can grant him the privileges to access on what tables, what kind of permission should be allowed for the users or not. Okay, so these are the benefits of using the RDBMS. See, some of the difference between the traditional database management system and the relational is, when you see this particular thing, DBMS, it does not need to have the data in the tabular format. There is no hardcore rule that data has to be in a tabular format. But in the case of RDBMS, it says the data has to be in the tabular format. Okay, tabular format is a must. Okay, and the table relationship are enforced by the system. The relationship of the tables is being enforced. This relationship enables the user to apply and manage business rules with a minimal rule. The traditional systems are okay when the data is very small, a very limited amount of data. But when the data becomes large, okay, we need to have a better system for maintaining and managing this data. So the better system is nothing but is your RDBMS system. Okay. Since, like, in the RDBMS, we make it as a separate tables, okay, and we are defining these rules. So this is better, is more secure. RDBMS is more secure. So we can, for the individual users, we can identify what permissions has to be given. Only that permissions can be given. It's a single users. RDBMS supports multi-users. As I said, individual users can be granted with the required privileges through which they can support. Privilege management can be done. It supports even the client-server architecture. So here again, so we can have a data centralized database server, and the clients can be connected to that particular database server. Okay.